What's going on, Jooms? JonJonTheWise here. You are listening to Night City Council. That's right, Night City Council is in session. I have with me the Honorable Mayor of Balancetown himself, James Hutt. How are you, James?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, John?
I'm good. It's a bittersweet day for us today because it is the final episode of Night City Council.
That is right.
You know, and we are happy that we've got this far, and we're so grateful for this community. It doesn't mean this is the end for James and I, which we'll get into at the end of the show. See, that's the teaser. We still got it.
You gotta sit through the show to get to that part. Yeah,
exactly. You got to sit through the whole boring show to get to that part.
Real boring.
Yeah, so boring. We might talk about full body conversions, and then we're going to talk about some other stuff. And wait, did I say full body conversions?
Oh yeah, we're going to end on a high note. The council is going out on the highest note we could. We're going to talk on full body conversions exclusively here for the first time. This is breaking news.
That's right. Chooms, you made it this far, and now you're going to get a sneak peek about some new stuff that Talsorian's working on. Some full body conversions. We have some information. We're going to tell you guys, what we can tell you. There's going to be some art like what I'm showing on screen right here. And we're going to tell you guys how that goes. We're going to maybe get into some questions. I want to talk about some of the first questions we answered on the podcast. And yeah, just have a good time. First of all, I just want to say thanks, James, for doing this with me. It's been a pleasure. It's been an honor to become your friend and to do this podcast with you. So
I've had a lovely time as well. Thank you for having me on, as always, John.
Yeah, man, always. It's great to be able to have such a close relationship with the people that make your favorite game, and you guys are so cool with the community, and I really appreciate everything that they do at Talsorian. So but that's enough of that. Okay.
A little sappy right now.
Don't get so emotional on me on the last show. Okay. That's it. From now on, I'm mean to you now.
All right.
Let's get straight into it. Can I read the title?
Yes.
It's one of the best titles out there. Becoming Metal.
That's
full
right.
Body conversions.
Becoming Metal, full body conversions. So this is coming out, of course, in Interface Red, Volume 3. It's the third volume of Interface Red, right?
I believe so, yeah. We did 2.
Interface Red
you guys
3,
did 2? Yeah.
This is the sort of pack-in article of brand new content for Interface Red Volume 3. That's where we're debuting it. That is where it will remain exclusive. So you got to pick up your Interface Red if you want Becoming Metal full body conversions. And this one's big. This is a serious amount of pages.
Serious amount of rules too. I mean, it's very extensive.
This is 28 pages without being in layout with art. So
it does a great job.
We're looking at a serious chunk of book here. This is not a short DLC, nor is this a free DLC because it's the pack-in article for Interface Red Volume 3.
Yeah.
So let's talk FBCs. Let's stop sugarcoating it. And let's just say what they are. This is endgame content. This is not a new option for character creation. There are exotics in Interface Red Volume 2 pack-in article that you can get at character creation. There are no FBCs that are available with the money that you can have at character creation, even if you sell out. So FBCs are very good and are thus tuned for endgame content. These are players that can spend $10K, $15K, $20K on an item. They could have bought 3 helixes for the cost of some of these things. And 3 helixes is a lot of GM headache. So imagine this as the triple what a helix is for a GM headache in one character. So will this make your character feel overpowered? Will this make them feel like more than man?
I sure hope so.
Yeah, they're a giant metal death machine after they put this one on.
Yeah.
And certainly if they have a Dragoon.
But you also, it's great to mention also to remember the narrative element, which is injected into all of this. It's not just rules, it's the narrative element explaining to you. Literally the first paragraph after the fluff is your first time going metal. Just really establishing what happens to you if you get a full body conversion. It's not just, you go to the corner store, get it done before your lunch break or at your lunch break or something like that. This is a full commitment to changing yourself to a different entity, whether you're a human being or not, that's debatable.
So let's talk about that because it is a one-way process. The first thing they're going to do is you're going to get a surgery that takes a bit of your spine and your brain and it puts it in a pod. After that happens, you can't go back to your previous body. You get out of the surgery, hopefully they have a full body conversion to put you in. And if you don't, you shouldn't be getting the surgery. If there are rules for if you're just and the term we use for it is, give me a moment. A biosystem. So they turn you into a biosystem, which is, if you're a 2020 fan, a biopod with some more tech on it. Because there's been a bit of development. You can just look at, let's look at Smasher, right? You look at Smasher's 2020 art, you look at Smasher's 77 art, and there's obviously been an improvement in full body conversions from that time. So there's improvements in 45 from 20. And one of them is that the biosystem is an upgrade of the biopod. So what is a biosystem? A biosystem is a revolution in human-machine interface. It's an upgrade to the biopod of the past. They contain not only the brain and other choice bits, but a full suite of computer systems and batteries. There's added functionality in the biosystem that allows the designers to offer some sort of computational processing and power generation, and taking it off the. It used to all be in the FBC. Now they've taken a core unit, basically, for you Gundam fans out there. So access to the biosystem for purposes of like injecting medicine and whatnot into it. There are, assuming that you're in a full body conversion and you're not just the biosystem with your brain in it and whatnot, that doesn't have it has this, you have to be basically like incapacitated totally for people to be able to inject anything. Because it's no longer like air hypo goes into your skin. It's like, that's metal. That's a fully metal arm everywhere. There's no place for the air hypo to inject. And finding the access port for that when the guy is moving around, that's not happening. But of course, you get the brain in the jar problem, right? Where if you're not in a body, you're a brain in a jar. And you don't get that type of defense. People can just inject stuff into the side of your biopod. No problem. Anyway, so there are some rules associated with how powerless you are when you're not in a body, which is very... you could take a bullet or two, but these would be very costly bullets. And certainly if somebody, breaks the containment on this unit, you're not living. You're not living that one. It is fully ruled out, though.
So where's this? Sorry if I can interrupt you. Where's that containment unit is it within the Borg conversion?
It is within the full body conversion.
Okay, so there is like a core system
into the full body conversion that contains your brain and your bit of your spine, and that is the you part. That is the part that is still you, like your old human body.
And where is that placed?
Part that remains.
Where is that placed on the body? At different places depending on
the unit. Most likely they put it in the brain, where the brain goes, because I mean that would be more comfortable. Sometimes I believe the Samson unit, you can sort of see it in 77 that his is near the lower back, kind of. Just because you look at, you spend a lot of time looking at models from the game, and you're like, oh, I think it's around there.
Yeah. It's also good to mention that not all applications of full body conversions are militaristic or for combat. They have them for firefighters. They have them for all kinds of other professions, which, that how dystopian is that, dude? You go full Borg for your corporation to become the most efficient work slave that you can be, dude. That's exactly. That's crazy. But
a lot of times they'll well, I mean, in 77, you have people repossessing cyberware after that. I know in 2020, most of that was the people who did the initial, the early adopters were very big into like, no, I have to own the body myself so that doesn't happen. And then over time, that wisdom that they had goes, gets forgotten and more forgotten. And then suddenly, you're getting all your Arasaka cyberware repossessed at the beginning of the Corpo life path in 77.
That's how it goes, man. That's capitalism, baby.
For sure. So I just want to be very clear before we move on that once your biosystem is installed in an FBC, you cannot specially target them. So there's no danger of somebody randomly hitting you in the brain case and killing you instantly once you do the surgery. Or, somebody with a monokatana being like, I want to stab him directly in the biosystem. There's no possibility of targeting for that.
Okay. Interesting. So what would you require to do to be able to damage that system if you can't target it?
You would have to catch them when it is not installed, or you would have to essentially reduce them to unconsciousness.
Got it. Then you can carefully do it, right? Like you can get there and do your So that's the idea.
They would have to want you to.
Yeah. They would have to give you consent, right? So that's like the rules reason why, because they also, I'm kind of jumping ahead in the document a little bit, but you don't suffer the -2 penalty when you're in the wounded state when you're an FBC.
Okay, yeah, you just had to do. You couldn't hold it any longer.
No. It fits with what we're talking about, so that it makes sense, because it's like you are a killing machine until something drastically happens for you to stop. And that's what 0 HP means. 0 HP means, shutdown of the system. And then
0 HP still means 0 HP, even if you're an FBC.
Exactly. I
hear what you mean.
Yeah.
So let's, now that the cat's out of the bag, let's go up and really quickly explain all of the good parts about being in an FBC.
Yeah.
And then some of the, trade-offs about being an FBC. And then let's roll through some FBCs and tell them about all the actual content.
Sure.
I'm sure you're showing them all this art.
I am, for sure.
Cool dudes.
You got to see the art. The art's amazing.
And
I think we should mention one thing before we move on to the baselines section. Is the humanity cost. It's difficult to just say off the top of our head. It's kind of granular, but it is taken into account. Humanity cost. You have to have a minimum amount. There's even a mention of needing to go to therapy before you even install the system. So that's why it's all in line with the end game content of your character. You have to go through all these things, removing cyberware, doing all kinds of stuff to get to that baseline to be able to put on the full body conversion.
Yep.
So yeah, that's all taken into account as well. And, you know, it's one of those things, you make a starting character and you can shoot for this later and set yourself up for it, you know, but it doesn't necessarily mean that your character currently couldn't be full body conversioned either, right?
Yeah, why don't we read let's read the example. Why don't we just read the example?
Okay, go ahead.
So this example has a character, we'll call him Bazooka Joe. So Bazooka Joe is going metal. Years of partying have done a number on the body of Bazooka Joe, the head security guru for the Piranhas. Tired of buying cloned liver here and a chemskin replacement there, he's making the jump to a full body conversion. Makes a deal with a fixer for a Militech Enforcer body, and he hands over 27,700 Eurobucks to pay for both the biosystem surgery and the FBC body. Listening to his Ripper Doc, Joe undergoes surgery to remove all of his cyberware first. Then he goes to therapy to center himself and help him say goodbye to his meat body, essentially getting rid of all the humanity he had depressed. He takes off all of his cyberware. He gets the therapy to go back up to his full empathy amount.
Which he had an empathy 8, so his humanity was 80. So now he's up to an 80.
So next, he does the biosystem surgery, which is the procedure to install his brain and a couple of other choice bits into the biosystem, which costs him, he rolls some dice for 46, and it costs him 18 humanity. Now his total goes down to 62. He gets his old body cremated. Instead of implanting Joe's biosystem directly into the Militech Enforcer right after, the Ripper Doc puts him through an additional bit of therapy to restore 14 humanity. So he has to roll for that, and he rolls enough to get up to his new maximum of 76, since essentially the biosystem is a piece of Borgware you can never take off or you die.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're not even in an FBC yet.
Yeah,
we're just now in a biosystem.
Which, by the way, the therapy is, you know, you can narrate that whole thing. Just imagine he's in this like virtual world and someone is telling him, listen, your old body is gone. This is your new body. You have to come to terms with that. And that's what brings his humanity back up. Mm-hmm. And it kind of lightens the blow. By
the way, that 27,700 he paid for the biosystem and the FPC body, the therapy was not covered by that. The therapy is going to run him, I don't know, probably 2 $1,000 runs of the expensive therapy. So these costs, they don't include everything, because you can do this the unsafe way, which is not doing that. Those rounds of therapy, but then, you know, the dice might just say you're cyber psycho now.
Yeah.
So Joe's doing the smart thing, and apparently Joe is pretty loaded.
Seriously,
Joe,
dude, he's
go
crazy loaded.
Find him and rob him,
dude, or just stay away from him after all this.
Yeah, well, yeah. Post this example. Stay far away from Bazooka Joe.
Now it's time to stay away.
He's all out of bubble gum. I'm sorry.
Dude.
Okay, so finally, the Ripper Doc implants Joe's biosystem into the FBC Militech Enforcer. That's a full body conversion called the Militech Enforcer. Instead of gambling, and you do have the option, you could, when you're installed into FBC, you can either roll the dice to get all of the, you know, see how you do. Or you can say, I'm not a gambling man. and you can take the average humanity loss for the package, which the average humanity loss for this package is 55.
Yeah. So each FBC has its humanity loss package, basically, that you can roll for, which is all the cyberware, all the options, all the things that come with it. And there's an average cost. It's a fixed cost. For Joe here, it's 55, the average. He decides to take that, right?
Yeah, he takes the average and goes down to 21 humanity. So in the year that follows this, he goes to therapy a couple of new times to, get up to his new maximum humanity, which is only 50, because there's a whole lot of cyberware in his body now that is his body now. So we won't bore you with the math up front up here, but that number is 50.
Yeah.
So that's the tale of Bazooka Joe. I heavily recommend anyone who wants to become an FBC to, you got to read it. This is not a I can read the first 3 pages of this. It'd be like a netrunner not reading how to netrun.
But this is a great example to show you what Joe went through. And, it tells you he had an 8 empathy. And with some dice rolls and some choices and some things that he had to go through, he finally was able to get to this number. It's not the same story you'll go through, but it's a really good example.
Yeah. So by the way, the reason that, so whenever you install cyberware after you're a biosystem, your relationship with cyberware changes, because no longer is cyberware an option for you. For example, it's still a cyberware option, but you know what I mean? It's not optional anymore. You are now a brain in a jar. So for you, cyberware is more a functional body. Essentially, normal cyberware becomes more like medical cyberware for you, but it doesn't go all the way. And what this means is you're always able, after this point, during character creation, you're always allowed to take the average for any cyberware you install.
Yep.
Well, that's one of those great benefits of being an FBC. Getting past that biosystem surgery means that you're always going to be able to take that average for all cyberware you install. And this just means that you can be a little bit more practical about how you spend your points. And also, your character knows their way around a piece of cyberware here and there once you get to this point. You're not making any rookie mistakes installing the wrong Kuroshis once you're an FBC. You're kind of an expert at cyberware installation at that point. If you want to, put it another way, you become a lot less human, and the idea of losing your humanity becomes a lot less
impactful
to you.
Yeah, the flesh is weak, for all my Warhammer nerds out there.
Basically. We're getting very close to tech priests here.
Yeah, we are. But yeah, that's the whole idea. I think that question's been brought up a few times, like, why is an Atom Smasher Cyber Psycho? And it's like, because he came to terms with what he's become.
Right. Atom Smasher is like the functional alcoholic of cyber psychosis.
Yeah. That's so good.
Atom Smasher, if he went to therapy, is like, they'd be like, well, you are a psychopath. I don't know why you're here to be. And he wouldn't respond, well, I'm looking to get my empathy up.
Yeah. I just feel bad.
He would get something like, these slugs really annoy me.
Yeah.
Stop these slugs from annoying me.
When I single-handedly killed all those Militech goons, it made me feel so bad.
Right, yeah. The idea of going to therapy does not really intrude on his mind at any point.
No, he's all in, dude.
For sure.
Yeah.
But he's certainly not a player character that has to interest about that. That's why he's not a player character. Very important.
Yeah. That's why he's an NPC, and his character is just like an NPC. It doesn't feel like somebody that you can control.
Fair enough.
All right, so yeah,
let's stop faffing about, let's talk about all the great things you can do in an FBC body.
You want to list them all, or you want to leave some for...
We gotta list them all.
Hey, man, I'm cool with that. I just didn't want you to get in trouble.
I'm not getting in trouble, man.
Okay,
Don't
good.
worry about me.
Let's do it.
The only thing we're not talking about today is a release date. So sorry,
Yeah.
Charlie. No release dates today.
No, coming
And
soon.
everything else.
Soon TM. It'll happen.
Soon TM. Very soon TM
Yeah.
even.
Yeah.
So here's the baselines. These are the advantages and disadvantages of every FBC baseline. This is before any of the cool cyberware, which we will get to as well.
Yeah. The
There's
packages.
also tons of new cyberware in here,
Oh, yeah.
in addition to tons of packages. So first off, the following skills, intelligence, cool, tech, will, luck, and empathy, remain the same as they were in your previous body. But your body statistic and reflex, so your body statistic always changes, and your hit points and death save always changes based on what you have installed. Then your reflex, dexterity, and move statistics might change based on what cyberware you have installed. But certainly none of your cool, tack, will, luck, and empathy statistics get changed by the body.
Yeah.
That you're.
I think just to clarify, your empathy changes. It doesn't change. Your humanity changes, right?
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
And then go ahead.
no, I wanted to move on. Are you good?
Yeah. That's what I was actually gonna move on. Go ahead.
Let's flip them back.
Let's do a little swap. Let's
swap. I don't
Let's
want
swap
to. I'm gonna drink some water. This is a long one.
There you go. Drink some water. When being installed,
Go with the next one.
I got it. When being installed in an FBC body, full body conversion, the following cyberware causes 0 humanity loss and does not depress the maximum humanity regained via therapy. So these are cyberware. If it's installed, it does nothing to your humanity. Cyber arm, cyber audio suite, cyber eye, cyber leg, cyber skull, internal linear frame, neural link, or neural port. Which, that makes a lot of sense. I think that makes sense, logically. Your body are those things. So
those are the core pieces of cyberware that essentially become medical cyberware for you. And medical cyberware, as we all know, that's 0
exactly.
humanity loss.
Yeah. All right.
And once there's no way back but those things, well, there you go.
Yeah.
When installed in an FBC body, the number of cyberware option slots granted by foundational cyberware and in the internal/external body cyberware categories is doubled.
Here we go.
What this means is functionally, if you want to do it and you somehow can't cram it all into a meat body, you sure as heck probably can in an FBC.
Yeah. You can have twice as many slots for all the crazy options. I mean, I can't wait till the community gets their hands on this and we got this Borg with things coming out of their eyes and ears.
I'm ready for the guy who's like, I need more subdermal pockets. It's very important to me that I have as many subdermal pockets as is maximal.
Oh, man.
And that's why I bought this FPC.
That's great, dude. Never thought about that.
Bought the yacht for crab fishing is what that sounds a lot like.
He's the most efficient crab fisherman ever. Oh, man. A user installed in an FBC body meets any grafted muscle and bone lace requirements for additional cyberware, even if none is installed. So for those of you that don't remember, there are some cyberware that require grafted muscle and bone lace, and the FBC meets the requirements. So you don't have to worry about getting that.
Yeah. So any linear frame you want, you can get it. So damage done to the FBC body is done to the FBC body, not the user. Thanks to nanomachines, son. So long as a user maintains a lifestyle of good pre-pack, that's 600 EV a month or better, whenever you complete a day of natural healing, while in your FBC body, it regains a number of hit points equal to your body. If the user transfers out of their FBC body, the empty shell regains the same amount as if it was doing a day of natural healing.
What's that little caveat there for? What's the niche idea of that? Is that like when you're switching bodies, or like...
If you have multiple bodies, essentially the bodies that are offline have their whole day to recover via those nanomachines.
Man, you've got to be real rich if you're just switching through Borg bodies, huh?
I mean, there are people that have high value jobs and can afford these things, and you know, or you just get one, and then, you know, the second one is a lot cheaper because you don't have to go through a biosystem surgery.
Yeah.
And you don't have to pay for all the therapy to go through that biosystem surgery. So your second FBC is probably cheaper than your first FBC in a lot of different ways that matter.
I just realized that Atom Smasher's closet is like Mr. Rogers. It's the same outfit. It's just the same
You
Borg.
laugh, but he had multiple bodies in 2020.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he had a body that he specifically used to go on dates with someone he probably shouldn't have.
I missed that piece of lore, dude.
That's lore right there.
Yeah,
you know who that is.
Is this the first time nanomachines have been introduced?
Oh no, there
right?
are nanomachines in a lot of the subdermal armor type things. And honestly, right now, there are nanomachines that can do surface repairs on
we're this close to full Borg conversions IRL, dude.
I mean, they're used for they exist. Look them up.
Yeah. All right. So the lifestyle, we'll get more into that. The lifestyle of good pre-pack is very important for anybody that's getting a full body conversion. So long as the user maintains it or better, an FBC body can be restored to full hit points via repairs. Doing so requires a DV15 Cybertech skill check and 4 hours to do it. Failed checks waste the entire 4 hours and restore the target to half of their maximum HP, unless their current HP is higher. Users in an FBC body can repair themselves.
So this is actually super fast healing. 4 hours to recover your whole hit points in Cyberpunk is the idea of, you know, we got in a firefight this morning and he shows up later that night and he's fully repaired himself.
Oh, yeah.
And our bullet holes are still slowly healing because we're meat. The fact that you have to make a check to do that, if you're having trouble with that Cybertech check and you could afford an FBC, you know what I mean? You have maybe a problem that could be solved by calling a mechanic.
It's crazy.
You'd know a guy.
Yeah.
Trust me, you'd know a guy. By the time you're in that body, you'd know a guy, or you'd know how to do it yourself.
Tow me to the nearest Ripper dock.
Right, yeah.
Put me on a dolly.
Yeah, what is it? Schwab. The tires place.
Or AAA.
Immediately, I think of him just going to Jiffy Lube.
Yeah. AAA comes and picks him up.
AAA.
Cool.
So a user transferring into a new FBC body automatically restores their HP to their maximum total as determined by their new FBC body. So if you're going from one body to another, you go to the HP total because the damage is done to the body, not to you.
Yeah. And this is one of my favorite parts. Users installed in an FBC are immune to the effects of bonus damage of the following critical injuries. So remember,
and the bonus damage.
That's right. Sorry, effects and bonus damage. So remember that 5 damage directly to your HP from critical injuries, not going to happen. Broken jaw, collapsed lung, concussion, cracked skull, crushed windpipe, lost ear, spinal injury, torn muscle, and whiplash. If one of these would be dealt, ignore them entirely. Do not re-roll for a new critical injury. You just take it because there's nothing to hurt.
Right.
Yeah, that's cool. That's really cool. This is This is turning out. This, you know, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, man, we can make some scary bad guys.
For sure. So while in an FBC body, the user is immune to the check and stat penalties of all wound states. Other effects, such as the need to make death saves, still affect them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're still going to need to make a death save at 0, but you're not going to be making it at a -4.
Exactly. And if whether they have 1 HP or 50 HP, they're just as dangerous no matter what. That's the idea of it.
Yep.
While in an FBC body, the user is immune to all diseases, poisons, pharmaceuticals, and street drugs unless administered via the air hypo directly into their biosystem's access port. We talk about that. You know, it's tucked away. It's not easy to get there. It is impossible to do so against an FBC user's will unless they are rendered fully immobile or incapacitated, or as we said earlier, they consent to it.
Yeah. That wouldn't be against your will.
Exactly. Yeah.
So FBC users are immune to radiation. They don't need to breathe. They don't need food or water to survive. However, they must inject a glucose-rich brain solution, which is 100 EB premium, into their biosystem via the access port once per month. This glucose-rich brain solution is included for free in Good Prepack Lifestyle. So you don't even need to pay for it if you're paying for Good Prepack Lifestyle. If a user forgoes the solution for a month, they're starving at a -2 on all checks. If they do it for 2 months in a row, their biological systems crash and they die.
Mm-hmm. So
there's no sort of warning on that, by the way, because the parts of your body that are typically saying, hey, you're hungry, those got cut out when you put them in the biosystem. So you don't not do the brain solution.
Yeah, you need it. And the 100 EB is like whenever you're on the go and you can't, extenuating circumstances.
Or you want some that isn't going to be part of your, you want some on hand, basically.
Yeah. Okay.
And of course, if you're a tech, this is premium. You can make your own. Just have to buy $50 of sugar, apparently.
Exactly.
$50 of sugar, a blender, a big pot.
And you're in the business. Molasses. Yeah, that's good. Healing aids designed for fully biological systems, such as cryo bags, cryo tanks, and speed heal, do not work on FBC users. Sorry.
Nope.
No.
FBC's users require sleep because the brain requires sleep, and you're not a robot. You're a cyborg. But are immune to all penalties associated with sleeping uncomfortably or living while crammed. Sure is a good thing, because if you did get those penalties, you're essentially in a jar. You get them all the time.
So you can just live in the trunk of a car if you wanted to, or a safe, or
what is it? The Bender's apartment where the closet is.
Yeah. It's in Fry's closet, isn't it? Right.
Oh.
Exactly. A user being installed in an FBC body containing new cyberware, or who is installing new cyberware into their current FBC body, can choose to take the average humanity loss instead of rolling for it.
Mm-hmm. We talked about this in the example.
Yeah. On all cyberware, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All FBC bodies have simulated senses of touch, smell, and taste while in the body. These simulated senses can be turned off without an action. An FBC in a body can eat food and drink beverages if they so desire, but after enough recreational dining, they must empty their storage tank, just like everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
So you do still have to pee if you choose to drink. You could just effectively hold it forever if you wanted.
Yeah.
Look, we had to tell you everything.
Yeah.
And it ends with, yes, you do still have to pee.
Yeah.
That is how detailed we are.
Yeah. But it's not as urgent.
No.
Because there's no bladder. It's just, the tank's full. And you could choose not to eat. you know. So you could be like, my tank's full. I'm not
Perignon recreationally.
Yeah, until I get
Arasaka's dime.
Yeah, until I get pumped. Yeah. So all right, and then there's a section here about switching bodies.
This one we're not going to get into.
Sure.
Because this is just more complex. Just know you can switch bodies.
You can switch bodies.
And it won't put you at a disadvantage. It's essentially like each time you switch. And because the core bodies are, you sort of you'll have maximum humanity loss that it can be different on different bodies. You may want a different body that has different things in it for sometimes.
Yeah.
But yes, very complicated. We won't get into that there. Please read the full thing to get that. And by much I mean to say it's 2 paragraphs. You're fine. You can do it.
There you go. For this next area, we're going to tell you about the full body conversions themselves. These are the packages. I think what we should do is pick a few that we like, read the little fluff, talk about the cost, and maybe mention some of the not all of the cyberware, just some that stand out.
Mention all the cyberware.
You want to mention all of them? Sure, you
mention
can.
All the cyberware. It's a couple more words.
Whatever you want. I was just thinking,
but go for your favorite first.
Okay, let's go to my favorite here. It is the Militech Eclipse.
Nice.
Frankly, your question about, I'm assuming somebody's asking about this full body conversion.
Oh, this is all in universe. This is ad speak.
Yeah, so this is somebody asked the Militech exec about this Militech Eclipse that they heard about, that there's a rumor of, and this is their answer to that reporter, right? Frankly, your question is ridiculous. Militech doesn't field an elite unit of killer Borg ninjas to service our interests from the shadows. You are misinformed, likely by our disgraced former competitors in the security market. You can find them across the ocean. Can someone throw out this hack? Let's get back to the real questions. Those relevant to affordably arming the good people of Night City so they can defend what is most precious to them without sacrificing a drop of quality craftsmanship. I see a hand. Fiona Hayes from Network 54, you're up. So this Militech exec did not want to spill the beans, but it's one of those things like, what do you mean killer ninjas? It's 29,200 eddies for this Borg conversion. It's on the pricey side. And I'll run through the cyberware. You got amplified hearing, full body conversion, chameleon coding, which I'm sure we'll get into, right?
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
Okay. Grip foot, low light infrared UV radio communicator, scrambler, descrambler, subdermal armor, subdermal pockets, tech upgraded oversized weapon, pop-up melee weapon. It's a Kendachi Mono 3. Tuned internal hydraulics upgrade, for the little bounciness. Also includes cyberware costing 0 humanity loss, the cyber arm, cyber audio, cyber legs, skull, Hiroshi monovision, internal linear frame beta, and a neural link. I mean, oof. Should I read that last part too?
Yeah. Then after you get a little bit of the corporation side of how they feel about it, you get some of Samantha, our narrator for this DLC. She's the full body Borg that pulled Johnny out of the rubble. His body.
Yep.
Sorry, spoilers. His body at the from the bottom of the tower.
Oh yeah, when the incident happened.
In Black Dog.
When the Fire Nation attacked, they are supposed.
You got a long time to read Black Dog. Now you get spoilers for Black Dog.
There you go. Hey, look, last episode we got to do things crazy, all right? Mm-hmm. All right. So she says there are supposed to be some of these at Militech HQ, but if you meet one in public, they'll be installed in another body, probably a Gemini with a military haircut. If I had to guess, an eclipse isn't for the eyes of the civilian people. Even Militech knows that. So they don't send their spooky Deathborgs out in public, at least during the daytime. Sounds a lot like shadowy Militech ninjas, because, Arasaka can't be the only one with ninjas. They don't
Yeah.
own the brand of ninjas, all right?
It's true. It's true. They don't own the idea of dressing in black with a sword.
Yeah. So I just love the idea of an American company making this crazy ninja outfit.
Yeah, these are American ninja warriors.
These are American.
We can't get sued for that, right?
Yeah. No, that is what they are. You know, that is exactly what they are.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, America, bald eagle flying across the screen. That's what I see when I see this Militech Eclipse. All right, you give me one of yours.
Okay, let me go for the Novel Tech Samson.
Okay.
Because we know the Samson is the model of choice,
Oh yeah.
or at least was the model of choice as the base unit for Smasher back in the day.
Yep.
Modern construction jobs require novel solutions. And when you think novel tech. Our flagship Samson conversion is the toughest industrial board on the market. Just one can replace 10 hard hats. Downsize today.
Mm.
The cost is $20,500. It's a luxury. Some of these have different categories of access than their prices.
Mm-hmm.
Just something we should mention. You will have noticed this if you this is also a thing in the exotics. The access is by category, not exactly by price.
Yeah, it's not just by cost. You need to get things 500 eddies or more, you need a fixer, but that rule doesn't apply for, it doesn't just like widely apply for all the other categories.
Mm-hmm. So this package costs 39 humanity loss averaged. Non-average, that's 3d6 divided by 2 rounded up plus 10d6. Oof. So you feel lucky.
Take the average, dude.
Do you feel lucky?
Roll 10d6, dude.
Do you feel lucky? I don't know. How lucky you feel. Maybe knowing your Warhammer.
Yeah, I do roll a lot of ones, but
late.
Somehow it just, when I'm supposed to roll ones, it doesn't do that. So I don't know what kind of family curse is going on with me.
Fair enough. So here's what it is. Cyberware, 2 anti-dazzles, a Chiron, an internal agent, a radiation detector, a subdermal armor, tech scanner, and 2 tool hands. But you also get some cyberware that costs 0 humanity loss and maximum hand depression, which is where a lot of the fun stuff is. So listen close. 2 cyber arms, cyber audio suite, 2 cyber eyes, 2 cyber legs, a cyber skull, which we'll get to. We'll talk about the cyber skull. An internal linear frame Omega, and a neural link. Here's what Samantha has to say.
What's the significance about the Omega there?
Well, we've never had an Omega before. This is where we're debuting the Omega.
What does Samantha say?
Samantha, fair enough. We'll get to that. Keep in suspense. These are the hardest working FBCs you'll meet. When Giraffa screws up, it happens. You just don't hear about it on Net 54. These are the people who come in to clean it up. Samson's rebuilt this city after the nuke. They're the reason the hot zone shrinks every year. Unfortunately for them, the base model is ugly as all hell. Blocky, clunky, turtle-like, definitely not friendly looking. I know a lot of Samsons that get misidentified as military models by the public because of the way the model looks. It's the Omega frame that's really the problem. An Omega is always going to look like an Omega, no matter how sleek you try to make it look. But with the Samson, Noveltech didn't even try.
All right. That's awesome. I love that it's a construction thing, but it also clearly has like a double use.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, the street finds its own use to everything. And remember, in the 2020s, the Smasher is like, you can think of Smasher in the 2020s like a super power gaming player character, right?
Oh yeah.
You would have picked this because it's the cheapest way to get an Omega.
Yeah. that makes sense.
And then he's going to put whatever he wants on it.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, because it makes sense that Novel Tech would use the Omega frame because it's for construction. It's heavy duty. You need it to be durable. You need it to, they weren't out here thinking gangs are going to buy it. And I mean, that's like a little bonus. You know what I mean? But the streets find a way.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. All right. And, I have to pick this one here. The Raven Microcybernetics Wise Man.
God. You picked the Wiseman? Okay, I'll be back in 10 minutes. So here's what I want you to know about this Wiseman that you're about to read.
Okay.
The math associated with getting everything right in the Wiseman and building all the cyberdecks in the Wiseman and putting everything in the Wiseman and not making everybody who ever installs it go crazy in the process, that took me 2 full days.
Oh.
So just know this will only take you 10 minutes to read, but it took me a lot longer to write.
Yeah, because it makes sense. I mean, here we go. Don't you think your sysadmin deserves an upgrade? This holiday season, give them the bonus they deserve. A brand new body by Raven Microcybernetics. Once word gets around, those pesky netrunners won't even try to hack your architecture anymore. They'll be too busy being dead. This is 27,480 eddies. It is a luxury category. But here's the major kicker, and I think this will give you an idea of what's going on here. The average humanity loss of this package is 70. Remember, we give the option is there to choose the average or roll for it. Or you can try your luck, as James has said before. It's 3d6 divided by 2, rounding up, plus 19d6. I'm assuming that's where the math came in.
Yes.
Because it's like, dude, you want to take that average? 70 humanity loss. I hope you're prepped for that. Or take the chance, dude.
Remember, you also have 4 on top of that for your biosystem.
Exactly. So why? Why is this happening? Well, because it's oops everything. It's oops all cyberware. You get the Chiron Cyberdeck CyberArm option ×4, FBC integrated body weight coding ×3, internal agent integrated Cyberdeck upgrade ×4, virtuality ×2, and then the rest of these are all 0 humanity loss. Cyber Arms, Cyber Audio Suite, Cyber Eye, Cyber Legs, Cyber Skull, Linear Frame Sigma, Neural Link, and we got some hardware installed. FBC bodyweight coding, it's a snake trap, hardened circuitry, tech upgraded range upgrade, 10 meters range, insulated wiring, crash barrier, KRASH, that's the a barrier from getting deck crashed from other netrunners, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which basically jacks you out and it could be dangerous. So you got a barrier against that. You have an excellent quality cyber deck #1 in your left arm. It has deck crash, 3 swords, a hellbolt, armor, super glue, Speedy Gonzalez ×2, worm ×2. You have a Microtech warrior integrated into that same left arm. It's a Kraken 3 giant and armor. I mean, this is insane. Excellent quality cyber deck #2 in the other arm. Eraser ×9, Swifty clean, tech upgraded, +1 slot, Raven Microcybernetics Kestrel 2, and Speedy Gonzalez ×2, Sabretooth ×3, worm ×2. Ooh. So you become a god netrunner.
Yeah.
You are a netrunner. You've become the netrunner.
So I know you guys are doing the math and realizing that a lot of those cyber decks don't fit. And you gotta check out the integrated bodyweight coding that we'll talk about in a bit.
Yeah.
Because they got 3 of them in there. One of the reasons it's so crazy.
I'm just imagining you have.
Why don't you finish up the read what Samantha has to say about it?
Sure. I just wanted to mention, I can't imagine you have the security system and then this monster just comes in and Borgs out and just connects to your system. You're like, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do, dude?
Your toaster is no longer your toaster.
Yeah, dude. All right, Samantha says, I know a lot of netrunners in the community, but I've never met a Wiseman. I've met netrunners who tell stories about them, usually about encountering one defending a net architecture that they were trying to crack. Jesus. I don't know how much I believe netrunner stories, though. For them, encountering a Wiseman is a lot like hooking a really big fish. The Wiseman always gets away after a long, exhausting battle. Oof. Yeah, you don't want to go up against this. No way.
One of my favorite parts in the Wiseman is something you might be able to steal for, something that doesn't cost as much as a Wiseman costs, which is the idea of getting a cyber deck and just filling it entirely with erasers and a Swifty clean.
Yep, I love that.
And then just plugging it in after you, finishing your business, switching cyber decks, and plugging in the cyber deck that means that everything you did will never be found.
I love that. I love that. All right, you have another one?
I'll do one more, and then we should talk about some of the cyberware.
Yeah.
And
Actually,
then maybe
you know what? We're kind of low on time. Let's just do cyberware.
Low on time?
Yeah,
Let's just do the cyber. Oh, fair enough. We'll just give them the cyberware.
Yeah. I think they've heard enough to understand.
Yeah. So there is a lot of cyberware. We aren't going to be able to get to all the cyberware, but there's a serious amount of new cyberware.
Talk to us about the Cyber Skull. That one's very important.
All right. Cyber Skull. 5K. Luxury. Humanity loss. It's a 46. How can you call yourself a metalhead if you don't have a metal head? What you need is a cyber skull to protect you from life's many dangers like bullets, explosions, and samurai swords. You don't have to be accident prone to benefit from a metal skull, so don't skimp on your own safety. Remember, with a cyber skull, there's no need for a helmet. It's internal body cyberware. It requires 3 option slots. The user's head is no longer considered a 2x weak point when targeted by an aimed shot or through any other method. Additionally, the user is immune to the effect and bonus damage of the cracked skull and broken jaw critical injuries. Every purchase comes with a personalized faceplate. Additional personalized faceplates, including ones covered with real skin and super chrome, are available for 100 EB.
Yeah, so you can have it look like your face.
Remember all those immunities to critical injuries that normal Borgs have? Well, they also all have a cyber skull. So these are additional immunities that you could install in a non-Borg.
Yeah.
So there's no reason you can't put a cyber skull in your Edgerunner that isn't a Borg.
Yeah, and this is it's a big game changer because you are taking away the ×2 option for a weak point. I know I've met a lot of characters that have basically made people that have made solos just to take advantage of the 2 times weak point on the head with luck and all the things that they can throw into it. So this is a great way to add balance into your game where some NPCs will just, that guy has a cyber skull. You can't do a ×2 shot on him. And, just as it goes for the players, it'll go for the NPCs as well.
All right, you do one.
Okay, I'm going to do we talked about this earlier, so might as well talk about it now. The FBC Chameleon Coating. It's 1,000 eddies, very expensive, 7 average humanity loss. It is a light reactive nanomachine coating developed for Militech by Redacted. This represents the forefront of personal stealth imaging technology. It's an external body cyberware, may only be installed in FBC. When the user remains still for 1 minute or 20 rounds, they can activate a cloak that hides from all visual senses, including low light, infrared, and UV, unless the perceiver succeeds at a DV17 perception check. Activating the cloak does not require an action. The cloak is deactivated automatically if the user moves further than 2 meters or 1 square within 3 seconds or 1 round. A second installation reduces the amount of time the user must remain still before the cloak can be activated to 30 seconds. A third installation reduces the time to 9 seconds or 3 rounds. Further installations do nothing. So this is literally, you're invisible. If somebody is within 1 square from you, When you attack them, they won't see you. They just will not see you. You will not be deactivated unless they pass that DV17 perception check. But even as you attack them, because you didn't travel past that one square, then they won't see you, right?
Yep.
Exactly. So it's like the Predator, dude. They get
Basically,
lifted. That's so cool.
it's an active camouflage. A lot of people have been asking about active camouflage and wondering why, where is it, what is it?
Yeah.
And the answer is, here it is.
And like I said, dude, how awesome would it be to put an FBC NPC in a room? He's got chameleon coding, and you tell your players when they walk in, make a perception check. And all of them.
Let me talk about the FBC Gemini sculpt.
Okay.
The cost is $1,000. Very expensive. Humanity loss 0. The FBC Gemini sculpt reformats an FBC body to be similar in shape to a baseline human form. Then it surrounds it with a thin shell covered in real skin. By developing the covering to be fully cross-compatible, Raven Microcybernetics dramatically increased its potential customer base, a wise business move. So this is external body cyberware. It may only be installed in a full body conversion. And it makes it impossible to tell a full body conversion in a Gemini sculpt that they aren't a typical human by sight without the use of infrared, where they are revealed to be as cold as solid metal. The one exception is if the FBC is packing an internal linear frame or Omega, or has 16 or higher body. They're just too massive to properly enclose in the shell. It becomes very obvious that's not a human.
Yeah.
Rumors of Dragoons reshaped to fit the tech upgrade FBC Gemini sculpts exist, but are currently unsubstantiated. So don't worry, the Dragoon is here, but we didn't read it.
Yeah, so the Dragoon is a Militech made. It's a military FBC, basically. It was made for a military application, and that can be, rumored to be able to be fit into this thing to make the most perfect espionage super spy Borg in the world, right?
I will say, unfortunately, the Dragoon is also the only one that does not have art that we're showing today.
Mm-hmm.
But do not worry, there will be art of the Dragoon. We wouldn't forget about that. I just want to make it very clear.
Yeah. How about we talk about Linear Frame Omega since we mentioned it? Is that okay?
We should talk about Linear Frame Omega.
You got it. Why don't you give us the rundown on it?
Okay, it's time for Linear Frame Omega, everyone. It comes in both external and internal. So let me start with the internal, and then I'll talk about the external. Linear Frame Omega, internal. 10,000. That's a super luxury. 8d6 humanity loss. 28 on average. A perfected cybernetic endoskeleton enhanced further by hydraulic and myomar muscles. Borgware. User changes their body to 16. This cannot increase their body to 17 or higher. This increase in body changes the user's HP and death save. Installation requires body 10 and 3 grafted muscle and bone lace. One installation counts as 2 separate installations of Borgware when determining maximum humanity depression for the purposes of therapy.
Deep.
Note, when installed in a full body conversion, implanted linear frames also fill space normally occupied by organs in a meat body, such as the parts of the chest cavity not already housing the biosystem. So anyway, that's the internal. And the external is a perfected powered exoskeleton that grants the user ultimate strength. It is also 10K, but it's listed as gear, and the user increases their body to 16 while plugged into the frame. This cannot increase the user's body to 17 or higher. This increase in body does not increase the user's HP or change their death save, and it requires 3 installations of interface plugs to operate. So you got to have a bunch of interface plugs to do it. But think about the savings if you didn't want the HP and you just wanted the body score. Anyway, thus is the linear frame Omega.
Yeah, so
it's finally here.
The external, it says this increase in body does not increase the user's HP or change their death save, but the internal says this increase in body changes a user's HP and death save.
Yep, that is the case. That's the same as all the internal and external frames. Yeah. They all have that change. The trade-off is that you don't need to get a bunch of muscle and bone lice.
Yeah. Overall, really interesting, really fun, and so many new upgrades that you can give to NPCs and players alike. It's one of those things where, you know, you can live that fantasy, work for it, go through gigs, buy each piece, and you could even, like, your campaign can revolve around getting an FBC, probably facing an FBC to get an FBC, you know, that kind of thing. So it's awesome. I love it. One question I did have, I don't know if it was mentioned here, I don't know if we mentioned it, but your body doesn't take damage, the FBC takes damage.
Mm-hmm.
And how does that work exactly the same way with armor, penetration, and everything?
Absolutely, exactly the same.
That's right. So, you know, go ahead.
I wanted to mention that the biosystem surgery itself is not included in those other prices for those FBCs we talked about.
Yeah.
And a biosystem surgery runs you $10,000.
There you go. That's why Bazooka Joe paid $27,700 for the biosystem and the body.
Mm-hmm.
What did he take? Do we know?
The Bazooka Joe wanted a Militech
Enforcer,
yeah, which is 16,800.
Yep, 16,800, and then so you know what is that? 10,000.
10,000 plus 16,800.
Yeah, so it was like around that price basically, and then he had to pay for therapy, and then he has to pay for additional cyberware, and stuff like that. So it can get pricey, man. It can get really pricey.
For sure.
Yeah, so you want to put some money in the bank and be nice to your game master, so it gives you good payouts on your gigs.
For sure.
Yeah. All right. That's the Becoming Metal that will be coming out in the next Interface Red, and Volume 3 that we are excited to see soon. TM. Make sure you guys are following Artalsorian Games on social media at Artalsorian Games, and you'll hear the first time they can let anybody know, they will let you know that you can pre-order from your local shop or from the Talsorian website itself. So we're looking forward to that. Thank you guys for sharing that. Other than that, yeah, as we said at the top of the show, this is the final episode of Night City Council. We had a really good run. We are not ending the show for any other reason other than we feel like this is a good place to end the show. Mm-hmm. We've answered a lot of questions for the community. Actually, we've answered 163 questions over our entire podcast, with the first question being, if I had, how does armor repair work? That was literally the first question of the podcast. And the last question being on the last episode. So there's so many things in between that. 163 questions were answered. Some of them were really esoteric. You know, like, what would you do in this situation and this and that. So there's some great advice from all of that. All of those episodes will still exist. You guys can access it at any time you want. But also, as James and I mentioned, this is not the end of our relationship, right, James?
No, of course not.
We will be on the tabletop.
That's right. We will rise like the phoenix.
That's right. James and I are going to start a new podcast show together called On the Tabletop with James and John, or John and James. We haven't figured it out. We'll figure it out. We'll fight to the death about it. And then we'll try to figure that. We'll get those details down. But it's going to be more of a general tabletop gaming show. We're going to talk about board games, role-playing games. We might talk about Cyberpunk, you know, if there's something that intrigued us. But it's not just going to be a Cyberpunk-specific show. It's not necessarily affiliated with Artel Saurian or
Yeah.
it's not connected to it. This is just me and James doing a show together about tabletop gaming. So I will be sure to let all of you guys know when we start that and when the first episode comes out. And I'm looking forward to that, James.
I am too. It's going to be fun to talk about everything.
Yeah, like beetles and dinosaurs.
And the other stuff I'm working on.
And the other
of
stuff
course.
that you do. Yeah, James is having fun over there. James is having fun.
I'm having a lot of special fun. Right now.
Yeah,
for sure.
So hey, for the final time, Night City Council is adjourned, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Shrooms out there, for all of your support. Bang, bang, bang the gavel. And anything you want to say before we sign out?
No, it's been a pleasure. It's been an honor. Thank you for being here with me, John. And thanks to everyone for listening and enjoying and being a part of this with us. We appreciate each and every one of you. And we will see you again, except on the tabletop.
Yeah, or under it. We haven't decided.
Somewhere in
the vicinity of the tabletop.
We're going for on the tabletop.
Around, yeah, we're going on, but never mind. All right, thank you, Choose. We'll see you on the next one.
It was a pleasure. I'll see you in the next one, John.
All right, see you. Bye.
Bye.